the Conference Player of the Year in TJ Klein, and can he make shots and can he play against the athleticism of VCU? Fascinating look at both of these teams, and of course Richmond wouldn't get an at-large spot on their own, but if they win 2 games, it doesn't matter. So you got a rivalry, you got the best player in the league against Jaquan Lewis, who's a talented guard from Richmond, who doesn't want to play his last game in the A-10. And oh yeah, by the way, they're playing for a spot in the NCAA tournament.
Well, you mentioned Jaquan Lewis yesterday. He was struggling scoring, but then the last 8 minutes he was able to put it all together and help VCU defeat George Mason, a 2017 first-team All-Atlantic 10 selection. He leads the team with 14.6 points per game. Yesterday, though, and they don't usually live this way, they usually live in the paint, was more about three-point shooting for VCU.
Yeah, but that's really kind of the surprising thing. It wasn't just that they made threes, it was the percentage of threes. You make 7 of 14 as George Mason wasn't necessarily daring them, but that was what they were encouraging them to do. Made enough shots down the stretch and took down the Patriots.
All right, you mentioned TJ Klein. He was the Conference Player of the Year. You want to talk about a guy that's evolved into the perfect center that fits this Richmond system.
And he's the perfect center because he can really shoot, he can really pass, and he can rebound the basketball. The 2 triple-doubles just show his versatility. Yesterday, when doubled and harassed by George Washington, he gladly passed the ball around. Very, very skilled.
Well, he did his job yesterday with the assist, but Quan Ford did his job yesterday with his speed. He was so fast on the floor.
Lightning quick, and you have to back off. He makes shots. Now he becomes really hard to guard. He made a huge steal down the stretch. They were down 1 at that point. They end up winning by 3 at the buzzer.
Very comfortably laid it in to finish it off for Richmond yesterday. It's Richmond and VCU, the 3rd time this year. Who's going to go to the final? We'll find out next. Bracket Week presented by Kubota finds us at PBG Paints Arena. We get set for Richmond, the number 3 seed, taking on VCU, the number 2 seed, for a chance to move on to face Rhode Island in tomorrow's championship game. So VCU has been in a semifinal game 11 straight years. Allie, it's a dominant stretch for the Rams.
It really is. This is VCU's 5th straight trip to a semifinal game since they've been in the league, which is 5 years, and they have yet to lose. Not only are they undefeated, but they've been dominating in a way that is so impressive when you look at the numbers that we have to break it down for you. In the first year in the league in 2012, they won by 9. Then the next year they won by 19. The following year they won by 20. Last year they won by 22. So if history means anything, we're in for a good show tonight. You add in the rivalry, and there's a lot to get excited about. Coach Wade said our players have a level of confidence about how we prepare. And when we get to these situations, they know how to step up, and it starts with our veterans. Guys, this should be a fun one.
Well, there is Will Wade, the head coach of the VCU Rams in his 2nd season. He's won 50 games, taking over for Shaka Smart. He was Shaka's assistant at one time. Time now for our starting lineups, brought to you by Kubota. And for Will Wade, he's adjusted his starting lineup for this tournament. He's put Jordan Burgess back in more for his defense, although he scored a lot yesterday, than his offense. And there's the starting 5 for Richmond. They start 2 freshmen, and those freshmen, Sherrod and Buckingham, have been impact players this year.
And of course, Mo Alley Cox, the 23-year-old senior inside the enforcer for VCU. Can he defend TJ Klein out to the 3-point line?
Well, there's Chris Mooney in his 12th season as the head coach at Richmond, 223 wins. Well, here we go. A chance to see who faces Rhode Island in tomorrow's championship game. Lamar Simpson's at center court, and game 2 is underway, and Richmond will control the tap. Mo Alley Cox didn't even jump for that.
Yeah, there's no bigger waste of time than the jump ball in college basketball. Seriously, we need to end that. Just give the ball to somebody and let's play.
Four and Jones running the backcourt for the Richmond Spiders, 20-11 on the year. They work it around the perimeter. Keep an eye on TJ Klein, not only as a scorer, but also as a guy who distributes. Jones is bumped by Doug Brooks. And that'll be interesting to see how the game is officiated. The first foul goes against VCU.
Well, it's a rivalry. The Capital City Classic is a great rivalry. Okay? Unfortunately, it hasn't really been a rivalry in terms of results over the past 10 or so years. VCU's won 16 of the past 20 games between the two schools.
And by the way, VCU has traveled quite nicely here to Pittsburgh for this ball game. Fresh 30 for the Richmond Spiders. June with the jumper, no good, and it's pulled out by VCU. There comes Jaquan Lewis, a little high step into the offensive end.
Jones averaged 25 a game against VCU so far this season.
Yeah, last night he had 19 points in the quarterfinal game. He has over 1,500 points for his career. Jaquan is covered up top by Quan Four. Pretty good speed, and that ball goes out of bounds. So here's the series history between these two. As we mentioned, it's a great rivalry. This is the 79th meeting, and VCU has control over the previous 78 games.
We were just in the break room in between games, and a couple of the camera operators said, well, tell me about VCU. I said, well, they're from Richmond. Like, no, not. I said VCU, not Richmond. No, they're both from Richmond. Why are we playing this in Pittsburgh? I don't know.
Where was Abbott? Where was Costello?
Third base.
2-0 Richmond on top. A minute and a half into this first half. VCU finished second in the Atlantic 10, finished second to Dayton. Dayton, of course, lost yesterday in the quarterfinal. There's Mo Cox going up against TJ Klein and gets it to roll off the front of the rim. That's a big deal. He didn't score a whole lot yesterday, and they want to get him involved.
And they're going to try and just stay in front, long arm, not let him get any angles. It's going to be very interesting to see Richmond's defensive style, in which they're going to almost dare VCU to make some of those jump shots.
A little bit of zone by VCU here, too.
It's an active zone, though. It's not a hands-up Harry.
Sherrod to the free throw line for Klein. A wide-open jumper for Buckingham. It's good for three.
What a tremendous freshman year he's had, huh?
He is the A-10 Rookie of the Year after averaging 9.8 and 5.8. They have two very impactful freshmen who are from the city of Richmond. They went to different high schools, played on different AAU teams. The other is Nick Sherrod. Here's Burgess. And Burgess, who was on the bench up until the last couple of games, very active yesterday and active again here to start the game. Richmond leads it by one, 5-4. TJ Klein covered by Brooks. Bounce pass down to the baseline to Sherrod. Klein toward the corner. Shot clock is sitting at 10. Spin move against Mo Cox. And his turnaround hook shot is no good. He didn't do that a lot yesterday. He only had 8 points, but he had 8 assists because he passed out of those situations. Jaquan Lewis for three. Good! The starting five didn't do a whole lot yesterday in the first half for VCU. They came to life in the second half. Lewis had 13. He had 11 in the last 8 minutes. Against the zone again that VCU implements. Klein's open in the corner. He'll take the three, and it's short and goes out of bounds along the baseline. That's a good sign that Jaquan Lewis got one rolling from beyond the arc.
Yeah, they've struggled from three all season long, and Jaquan Lewis sees that TJ Klein is not going to challenge, simply going to have his hands down and flat hedge and make them make jump shots over the top. And Jaquan Lewis says, okay, I'll do such a thing.
Yeah, Lewis admitted yesterday, said, listen, I've been struggling offensively, and he was. He was 2 for 4 yesterday, 4 for his last 26 from beyond the arc. Samir Dowdy checks in for Doug Brooks, who's out with one foul, and now the steal by Richmond and the foul up top against VCU. That foul goes against Tillman. You don't want to get him in foul trouble.
And you mentioned putting Jordan Burgess back into the starting lineup. It also allows him to play without Jonathan Williams, who's really not a particularly good jump shooter. And so it puts an extra player in the lane. Makes you have to guard all 5 players for VCU, even if you still want to make some of them shoot.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, Williams was in the starting lineup. They put him on the bench, and he's actually scored a little bit more just going to the rim. Here's 4 for 3, and it's no good. And Mo Cox with the easy rebound. Richmond is allowing VCU to get those boards, which is not unheard of.
Well, remember, you have a head coach who came from Princeton, played that style, and one of the things that Princeton's always done is get back defensively. No easy baskets, the old Pete Carril style.
Dowdy a little out of control. The ball goes out of bounds. All right, take a breath, everybody. 15:27 to play here in the first half. VCU leads it by 2. Beautiful view from atop Mount Washington. Here in Pittsburgh, it's time now for our DiGiorno keys to the game. All right, Doug, what are you thinking?
Well, first thing is for Richmond, you have to handle the pressure of VCU, and they have to rebound against a VCU team that's going to try and be super physical when they shoot it up from deep. And then for VCU, you want to pressure Klein. Don't allow him any airspace. He's as good a passer as he is shooter, and then you want to push the tempo. But what I'm interested in is how Richmond defends VCU. Let's take a look. Here's a ball screen and roll, and they're gonna lift on the backside. And as DeMonte Buckingham shows you, Richmond wants to clog the paint between Klein and Buckingham. Jordan Burgess smartly, instead of settling for the jump shot, takes up space and gets the floater. Watch Richmond clogging the paint so that there are no screen rolls, much the way we saw for Rhode Island. As they were getting dunk after dunk, Richmond wants to make VCU beat them outside of the three-point line.
Offensively, Richmond has gone quiet. They haven't scored in 2 minutes and 26 seconds and counting. There's Klein, covered by Dowdy. Now, Klein likes to get down to the right baseline where he'll start to generate some offense.
Yep. Got a nice little turnaround game. Can really pass out of that block as well.
Here comes Jones to the basket, no good. Tillman with the rebound for VCU.
And it's one of those things when you're playing a zone, even though Klein can shoot the basketball, because of their offense and because he's almost taking the bait and floating on the perimeter instead of getting in there using his size and using his skill.
He has scored more than 1,800 points. He's defending Mo Alley-Cox right now down low. That's a pretty good battle going on. Mo Alley-Cox has it on the baseline. Shot clock under 10. Into the paint, forcing his will. Up off the glass. It's good. With a little help from the back of the rim. That is a heck of a battle.
Every time I call a game that Mo Alley-Cox is involved in, I just can't believe how big a human being, how strong a human being he is.
The thing is, over the last couple of years, he's trimmed down. He's gotten tighter.
Yes. Like a twigger.
TJ Klein along the free throw line, goes to the elbow for the jumper, no good. Jenkins with the rebound. How about the impact Jenkins had yesterday offensively?
Yep. A couple big threes late.
Gets the entry pass to Mo Alley-Cox. A little bit of a size mismatch. Backing his way in again. Leaves it down low for Tillman. Tillman under the basket. He's got to get it back outside for Mo Alley-Cox from 17. That's not necessarily his game, although he's really worked on it the last couple years. And the ball cut off by Dowdy and Mo Alley-Cox as they got back defensively. 4-point lead for VCU. Richmond continues to have this drought offensively. And an offensive foul called on Mo Alley-Cox. No, we said there's a battle going on down low.
Klein setting up his body, taking the contact, and then he got away with a little push there, and it didn't matter. And so now that he's set up that he's going to take that punishment with his body, he stands, takes the punishment, falls down, and gets the charge call.
Sold that awfully well, didn't he?
He did sell it well. He didn't overact either. Right? He didn't Jim Carrey it.
Mo Alley-Cox checks out with that one foul. He's got 4 points. 4-point lead for Richmond. Jonathan Williams and Ahmed Mohammed checks in for VCU. Johnson was open for a three, didn't take it. Gets it back to Jones with the shot clock at 8. Now Klein up top. Shot clock is at 2. Buckingham will let it fly. It's good! He just threw it up and it went in. That'll end a drought.
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that's the worst successful possession for Richmond basketball this season.
Well, it's a 1-point game, 12:48 to play as the ball is turned over by VCU.
I mean, every guy's hot potato in the basketball, and Buckingham's like, wait, I got it? Wait, hold on, I got nothing I can do except shoot the basketball. He kind of got Armin Gilliam. Armin Gilliam, the late great former UNLV player, played with the Nets, was famous for passing. When the shot clock was running down, passing it so it wouldn't hurt his field goal percentage.
Well, he has all 8 points so far for the Spiders. Klein in the paint, swings it to Johnson in the corner, and that one rims out. Burgess has the ball knocked out, and Klein is called for the foul.
What a pass from Klein, though. He's got to be smart. Now he has a foul, and the old adage is, if you don't get your first, you can't get your second. That was a needless foul. He almost got to the 12-minute mark without one. If he doesn't get the rebound, run back on defense.
Well, he checks out with that one foul. So both coaches are substituting with guys who have one foul in the early going. They kind of feel their way through. 7.5 minutes in.
And Tom, I think they're playing for that 12-minute mark. Get him a quick break through the TV timeout.
Outlet pass goes to Johnson. Up top, his pass is over the fingertips of Ibaka, and it goes out of bounds. It'll be VCU basketball.
And that's just rushing it. And Johnson missed that open three, which is a good look. Next time he touches the basketball, take your time, take a breath, and have a shot fake. Of course, where would they be without Buckingham, the Rookie of the Year in this conference?
They say he's got such a high motor that's one thing that has set him aside from a lot of other freshmen. I mean, he's built more like a junior or senior in the lower body. 12:05 to play here in the first half. Burgess tries to get it up top. Gets it to Jenkins. Jenkins into the paint. Stops and tries to pop. No good. Hamdi Mohammed with the rebound, and he's fouled going up. It's a 1-point lead for VCU. 11:54 to play here in the first half. Who will go to the A-10 championship? It's every game, every big shot, every moment. March Madness on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. It all starts tomorrow with the NCAA Basketball Championship Selection Show and culminates with the Final Four and championship game only on CBS. All right, let's go back to the last possession for VCU.
All right, Tom, let me explain what Richmond is doing defensively, all right? As Buckingham's on the basketball, freeze it right there. He gets beat off the dribble. So his teammate is going to step up and switch, and he's going to, it's called Xing out, switch men. Now, the problem with doing it is not the defense on the shot, which is actually pretty good, okay? The problem is he doesn't box out, and like a freshman, he gets beat. But Ibaka comes over and X's out and switches. He takes his man. That's called Xing out defensively, and that's one thing Richmond is doing against VCU's drive. The reason is VCU's very good at driving, drawing, and then they pass to whoever the help man's man is. Well, you can deflect that pass, you can steal that pass. That's how Richmond is combating it defensively.
Well, the first free throw is good. Buckingham checks out. They're looking at his leg right now on the sidelines.
Did his leg cause him to not box out there? I don't know.
He may have whispered that. Hamdi Mohammed misses the second free throw, and a near steal by Doug Brooks.
Williams has got to get more confident. He looks like he wants no part of the basketball, as he almost had it stolen from behind.
Four, and Jones running the backcourt now with Johnson along the free throw line. TJ Klein is on the bench with one personal foul. Richmond with 5 points off turnovers. The 8 points have been scored by Buckingham. We're nearly 9 minutes into this first half. Here's Ford to the basket. Shot clock violation. And Hamdi Mohammed, who really has made an impact these last several weeks for VCU, came up to stop him from going to the hoop.
Okay, but Juan Ford was going to put him in. I mean, Ford is listed at 6 foot.
Oh, he was going up, yeah.
He was going to put him in. And he got that shot blocked, but whew.
2-point lead for VCU. 11:10 to play. Jonathan Williams awkwardly up top, and another turnover forced by Richmond.
Richmond's defensive style is giving VCU issues.
And Jones misses the layup. Mohammed with the rebound. Hamdi was able to get it to Williams. Long bounce pass to the corner for Jaquan Lewis. He brings it in, and the finger roll is no good. 10:51 to play here in the first half. Let's check in with Ali LaForce.
Guys, so much of VCU's game plan was attacking, using their size as an advantage. So when I talked to Coach Mooney for Richmond, he said, we have to really switch things up defensively, figure out how to make size a distinct disadvantage, shorten the shot clock, limit the touches inside, have that extra fight. I got to listen in there for a second in the huddle, and it wasn't defensive minded at all. He actually was focusing most on offense, telling them to make sure they first get rebounds, but then push it out, push the pace of the game, get the ball down the court as quickly as possible, and try to get some easy buckets. He also wants Klein to be a better decision maker and make decisions quicker on offense. Well,
you see he's wearing out Tony Chiazza, who's the lead official in this game. He's wearing him out because VCU's big guys, they run down the court and make contact in order to clear space for the penetration of their guards.
Well, as we mentioned before, Buckingham is the only one who has scored offensively for Richmond. They're down by 4. They're fortunate that VCU only has the 12 points. Here's Sherrod off the pass from Klein, no good. And the rebound taken out by Brooks. Jaquan Lewis looking for the screen from Hamdi. Williams cut off, goes to Brooks. Jaquan Lewis covered by 4. Doesn't give him much room at all. Shot clock is under 10. Williams tosses it up off the back of the iron. Hamdi Mohammed with the rebound. He's all over the place. Here's Brooks who lays it in. Well, that's all because of Hamdi and the energy he's bringing on the boards.
And it's all because of the spacing of VCU. And even though they're not taking jump shots, it's giving them a running start at the glass.
And here's TJ Klein with his first bucket of the day. That is a tough angle to get that off the glass.
It was, but he saw that there was no help coming. And he saw that he had Mohammed and not Molali Cox on him. So he went into his stuff.
TJ Klein, who said yesterday, he said, I understand I'm the player of the year, but he said it would mean the world to me if we can get to the NCAA tournament.
And he just flopped his way to his second personal foul.
Second personal foul. He's going to have to check out. There's his mom, Nancy Lieberman. She cannot believe the call on the floor. And he's going to have to check out, which is a huge blow for Richmond. Watch it.
And that's, if anything, it's a no call. Remember, he's the primary defender. Okay? And what a fan watching at home is saying, wait a second, he was moving. He was moving laterally. As the primary defender, you're allowed to move laterally. You're only allowed to not move and set your feet if you're the secondary defender, if you're coming in to help. That's a bad call. Make it a no call. But the big mistake, in all honesty, is on TJ Klein and the first foul. It was an offensive rebound. He had no shot at the basketball. And if you don't get the first, you can't get your second.
His mom, Nancy Lieberman, who's an assistant coach of the Sacramento Kings, Basketball Hall of Famer, she did not like the call. And her son is on the bench now. VCU with the basketball back. Jumper from Crawford is good. Malik Crawford off the bench connects on the 3. It's a 9-point lead for VCU. And the steal by Hamdi. Outside to Williams. Skips it to Jaquan Lewis. Lewis along the baseline. That's a tough pass. And it's out of bounds. It'll be Richmond basketball.
Now VCU, if they move the ball to the weak side, Richmond is over-helping. See how they all have a foot in the lane? And because of it, it's just too long a recovery for Sherrod, who doesn't even put a hand up and gives up the 3.
There's TJ Klein on the bench with 2 personal fouls, 1 bucket so far.
Ahmed Hamdi Mohammed has brought such incredible energy for VCU.
Yeah, he was a guy that was recruited as a junior college transfer, more because of his defense, but then he arrived at VCU, and his offensive game really stepped up. That was last year. Buckingham heads to the basket against him, and his shot is good. So he has 10 of the 12 for Richmond.
And it's funny, he came in as a defensive player. The last 2 times Richmond scored, they're going right at Hamdi Mohammed.
Kirby's in for Richmond. Crawford from the left corner, and it rims in and out, and the whistle blows, and the foul will be called on Hamdi going over the back. I love this camera shot. This really brings the game right into your living room.
Well, it's interesting. If you watch youth workouts now, this is something everybody practices. That was kind of a modified Euro step. The players are really skilled at when they're going downhill, and that's just a hard thing defensively. You plant your feet and take a charge. Sometimes it works. It can look like you could also look really, really bad.
VCU, you see they're shooting 7 of 13. Johnson, right side of the lane, is fouled by Jenkins.
And that's the modified Princeton look from Richmond. Of course, Chris Mooney grew up in Philadelphia, dad a bus driver. Played at Princeton, but he's gone away from running pure Princeton. That set, on the other hand, was the Princeton elbow set.
Johnson to the line, 80% free throw shooter for Richmond. As a team, they're 71%. And the first is good. Join us as we showcase 20 of the top senior players of the game with this summer's NBA draft on their mind. Catch the 2017 Reese's College All-Star Game presented by Walmart Friday, March 31st, live for the Final Four in Phoenix at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network. Now the second shot for Johnson.
Julius Johnson from Cocoa, Florida, just needs to settle down. An excellent jump shooter. Got a little bit rattled, playing a little bit too fast early in this game.
Well, he makes both of his free throws. And now VCU with the basketball, up by 5. Cox on the two-handed jam, and tell you what, that's great recognition by Dowdy.
Yeah, Samir Dowdy. He looked to the corner in the air and then threw a beautiful no-look pass.
And the defense, the pressure defense by VCU, they don't do it the way they used to do it.
I actually think in many ways they're better in terms of their half-court pressure and rotations and traps.
They've got a 7-point lead. Shot clock is down to 5. Jones, pull-up jumper is no good. And the rebound tipped toward the baseline and saved by Jaquan Lewis.
And that might be sacrilege considering VCU went to the Final Four, obviously.
Yeah, with that great style as the bodies are flying all over the floor as the ball goes out of bounds. 7:27 to play here in the first half. VCU up by 7. How about Mo Alley Cox? The big man has done it for 4 years as Dowdy finds him the two-handed jam. You're watching Bracket Week presented by Kubota. VCU's been involved in a lot of exciting games this year. Mobley from St. Bonaventure hits this three, and St. Bonaventure thinks they've won it. 0.4 is left. They storm the court, and then the technical free throws lead to Jaquan Lewis, able to give them the victory in overtime. Then Jaquan sets the screen 1 game later against GW with 0.4 left to play. Again, a foul is called. He goes to the free throw line. He makes both free throws. They win it over GW 54-53, and those 2 wins certainly have helped their tournament resume because they would have hurt their tournament resume.
And they were back-to-back wins.
Back-to-back wins.
I mean, it's insane. The Jaquan Lewis play where you take a charge, I've seen that run 500 times.
It's called a hole-in-one.
I do not remember it being called. I do not remember it being called. Now, I mean, technically, by letter of the law, it absolutely got run over. But I do not remember it being called.
Well, it's been an incredible year for VCU and for Jaquan Lewis. It's also been an incredible run, Allie, for Mo Alley Cox and what he has meant to this VCU program.
When talking about those 2 games specifically, he says, we always had that never give up and that never die attitude. He said, we played in a lot of big games and won them, but coming into this game, he said no matter what the records are, when these 2 teams play, it does not matter because you want more than anything to win for bragging rights alone. Also, not surprised he has 6 points already, guys. He didn't score yesterday, and he told me he was saving all of his points for today.
Jones just missed another layup. That's the 4th missed layup at the rim, as opposed to Jonathan Williams drives right down Broadway and lays it in.
Yeah, Williams has become such a good scorer going to the basket. Here's 4, two-handed jam. That guy's got some athleticism.
He could win a dunk contest. I've seen him several times throw down, and we saw him trying to put VCU on a poster earlier in the game.
You just got a peek at TJ Klein. He's on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Chris Mooney is still working Lamar Simpson on the sidelines. And Jonathan Williams tries to answer and does with a two-handed jam of his own. The beard is alive.
Well, the best thing about Jonathan Williams, he can't shoot and he knows he can't shoot, so he's just looking to drive. He manipulated that ball screen brilliantly.
16 points in the paint for VCU. On top 25-16. Ford thought about the jumper, instead leaves it for Sherrod for 3, no good. Ball is tipped out, and the battle is won by Richmond with a fresh 30. Little high-low for Buckingham, and he was mashed down low by Mo Alley Cox. Well, this is when the game is exciting, when you have two little guys slamming it home.
I mean, are you kidding me? Oh! And then Jonathan Williams right back the other way.
You think Jonathan Williams did it on purpose and didn't just lay it in?
I think when you get the adrenaline going, it's like when you're a little guy and you can dunk. In warm-ups, you're always good. Now you can dunk all the time in warm-ups. You don't have to wait till the refs come out. Took that silly rule away. But it's one thing to do warm-ups, but then when you're motivated by the guy you were guarding, like Ford goes up and throws down, you're like, all right, next time I get a shot.
Buckingham makes the first free throw. He has 11 points, 11 of the 17 for Richmond.
It also may be silly to some, but to me, it shows the athleticism in the backcourt in this league.
Yep, I agree. Guard play for years has been outstanding in this league. 6 minutes to play in the first half. Second of our two A-10 semifinal games. Rhode Island won game 1. The winner of this one will face the Rams tomorrow. Williams skips it to Dowdy. Dowdy leaves it for Tillman, and Tillman lays it in. Dowdy's had 2 real good recognitions, and now a timeout called by Chris Mooney.
No, it's just a turnover.
Oh, it's just a turnover.
They just threw it in and threw it away. VC wasn't even pressing.
An unforced turnover by the Richmond Spiders with 5:39 to play here in the first half.
That's what Havoc does to you. It gets you so rattled up, so riled up that you throw it in thinking, why don't you take the ball in bounds? Ford throws it into his teammate,
he just threw it too far past him.
I think he thought he was going down the floor, and really his momentum was taking him back towards the basket.
Well, Cox got deep down low, and he lays it in. Ibaka got way too low under the basket defensively.
Ibaka has really struggled with Mo Ali Cox. Ali Cox is smartly, he doesn't post up at every possible moment. He waits till he gets you at a bad angle.
Clock is not moving, so you just heard the horn sounds. So now the officials will take a peek at it. It's 5:39 right now, but they'll have to run some time off the game clock and the shot clock.
This is going to take a while.
Yeah, Earl Walton is over at the scorer's table. Take a peek. See 5:39 to play. It's not moving when Mo Ali Cox scores. So there's a lot of time that they've got to take off the clock. And then you had Richmond getting into its offense, and the clock still hadn't run.
Now for Chris Mooney, I think at some point you have to go back to TJ Klein. Because you're falling out of this game, you have no offense, and you just have to depend. And I understand he has 2 personal fouls, but you get 5. There is no rule that says you have to sit him with 2.
So it was from the inbounds it never started. The entire time that VCU had the ball offensively. So they'll run the stopwatch. And then Richmond went on offense. And they let it play into Richmond's offensive set. But there's nowhere near 5:39 left to play. And that's where Earl Walton heard the horn, and that's where, when he went over to the scorer's table with Lamar Simpson and Tony Chiazza to chat about it.
We would not have a college basketball game if not for a clock review. I believe that's part of the new rules of the game.
New rules of the game.
But no, the clock didn't start. And they were actually testing this thing. I was here about 2 hours for the game, as were you, and they were testing. They were having a little issue with starting and stopping of the clock. And the Penguins play here. They don't always host basketball in this arena. It's like an AAU game. Clock! Start the clock!
You did hear remnants of people screaming about it in the stands. And then finally it was noticed. I'm thinking they're going to have to take at least 30 seconds, if not more, off the clock. It's probably going to run down close to 5 or under 5. There's TJ Klein. He may be set to come back in this game, as you alluded to.
Yesterday in the Duke, North Carolina game, it was a little bit different, where Joel Berry had 4 personal fouls. And it was a 20-point swing for Duke to ultimately beat North Carolina. Roy Williams didn't call a timeout and never put Joel Berry in. By the way, Joel Berry ended up with 4 personal fouls. It's even... And it's different for a guard. I would play a guard with foul trouble because you can defend easier without fouling. Big guys sometimes just accrue fouls because they're big. But he's the player of the year. He's a smart player. And even if he did pick up his 3rd, he's not disqualified if he gets his 3rd. He simply has his 3rd.
Well, this is what the officials may review. You just saw a peek of it, and one of it is the maintenance of the clock. And it looks like right now they've run it down to 5:19. They also have to figure out the shot clock, because that needed to run down a little bit too, and they've run that down to 19 seconds. So it'll be Richmond basketball with 19 on the shot clock. TJ Klein is in the game. You see him with Mo Ali Cox down below.
I would get him. Listen, and the other thing is, when he's in the game, let's get him the basketball. We don't know how long he's going to be in. Get him the ball somewhere he can be effective.
He has just 2 points today, averages 18.2, had 8 assists yesterday. And the zone for VCU they've continued with in this first half.
And they've run it almost exclusively when TJ Klein's been in the game. He's not even looking at the basket.
Here's Jones. His leaner is off the front of the rim. Mo Ali Cox with an easy rebound. That's his 3rd board of this first half. Under 5 minutes to play. And VCU is dominating the board so far.
Richmond in their own little matchup zone.
Shot clock is under 10. Williams just peeked at it. Shot clock is at 3. Dowdy will let it go, and it's off the front of the rim. And 4 with the board. To the corner for Jones for three, and it's good.
Well, that's the biggest difference is you secure the rebound, and that helps you because one, VCU can't set up your press. Then you push the ball, and you got to be cognizant of TJ Klein for a trail three. Richmond rebounding, which is the biggest key in beating VCU, not allowing that first shot to go in.
Absolutely. Dowdy looked into Mo Alley Cox, covered by Buckingham. Ball is tipped momentarily for Johnson. Here's Williams in the paint and misdirects his body and gets it to go down.
He's been fabulous. Hasn't coming off the bench, not pouting about it, comes in, only takes 3 shots that he can make, 2 layups and a dunk.
So he has 6 points. VCU 6 of its last 7 made field goals. Klein inside the paint, backing in against Mo Alley Cox, leaning in, no good, trying to get his own rebound, and it's off the foot of Jonathan Williams.
Jonathan Williams has been everywhere. Started out in the Pine, but he's making a strong case to stay in the game. Driving, drawing, forget the dishing. He's scoring. Rams up 10.
10-point lead for VCU, 31-21. Richmond has only 21 points, and obviously they've been scuffling offensively. It's the A-10 championship tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on CBS Sports. University of Rhode Island awaits the winner of this game. They defeated Davidson 84-60. Vern Lundquist, Jim Spinarco, and Ali LaForce will be on the call. TJ Klein has been struggling in this first half, and they got to get him going somewhat.
Well, it's been hard because I think there's been a great game plan from VCU, making him take some quick contested jump shots, and then he got the first personal foul on an offensive board. Then he gets in, he's got Mo Alley Cox on, kind of rushes his shot around the basket. This was his second foul, which kept him out for about 10 minutes of the first half, and he struggled, just 1 of 5, the player of the year, but he's an equally adept passer, so they need him in the game not just for his scoring, but to command help and then set up others.
Well, they get it into 4. Shot clock is at 30. Off the change of possession as the ball went out of bounds off the hands of Williams. Johnson for 3, no good. Tillman with an easy rebound.
That's the second good open look that Johnson has missed. You are more likely to make a shot when it comes from inside out, and Richmond not even using the low post against the zone.
Tillman to Dowdy. And here's Lewis. That's a little too strong. The air ball goes right out of bounds. I'm not even sure if his feet were set on that three-pointer.
No, that was a heat check. A little too thirsty there for Jaquan Lewis.
Under 3 minutes to play here in the first half. Richmond down by 10. But VCU's only scored 31 points in this first half.
Their defense has been spectacular.
It really has. 4, working with Klein along the backcourt. Klein against Mo Alley Cox. Now he launches a 3, and it's good! A splashdown from in front of the VCU bench.
Now, if you're Richmond, TJ Klein needs to touch the ball in a scoring opportunity next time down the floor. Even if he's not going to score, you want to make the defense think he's got a hot hand now. We're going to try and feed him till he bursts.
Well, he has 5 points. Doug Brooks swings it to the corner. Dowdy, and he splashes it from his corner. 10-point lead again for VCU. We head toward the 2-minute mark here in the first half. Klein does have it. Picked up again by Mo Alley Cox, setting the screen. Pull-up jumper by 4 is off the back of the iron. Pinballs in and out. And Tillman with back-to-back rebounds. He has 4. 1:45 to play here in the first half. Dowdy with a crossover, little jab step. The goal for VCU is to continue to force it inside. And that's what they do to Mo Alley Cox, who tries to kiss it off the glass, and the putback by Tillman is off the mark. And Sherrod with the rebound. Boy, with even all the offensive struggles Richmond has had, a basket here, and they're within reach. 4. Against Brooks, speeds right on by him and lays it in.
This kid is so athletic.
Said yesterday when he had that steal of Watanabe, he said he knew exactly where he was going and where his hand needed to be. Under a minute to play.
And George Washington was apoplectic. They thought there had to be a foul, but he is so incredibly quick, a hand and with his feet.
Dowdy from the free throw line. Tough spot to give up his dribble. Shot clock down to 5. Lewis pinballs it around. It goes down. Difference of about 3 seconds between shot clock and game clock. Klein backing his way in off the glass. He's got it rolling now. He's got 5 points in the last minute.
It's smart. He knew he had a mismatch, so he got a quick post. And now we get the ball again.
Yep, they'll get the basketball with 20 seconds to play with a timeout. Chris Mooney says, I don't want a timeout.
Well, Klein in transition, he comes down, he's like, wait, Mo Alley Cox is not guarding me. Throw me the ball and let me go quick. I got Dowdy on me. That's an absolute mismatch. You're not backing down Mo Alley Cox. You got to take Mo Alley Cox outside or beat him, try and beat him laterally or fool him with a quick shot. But if you have Dowdy on you, you can score anytime you want.
Well, as you mentioned, he's got to touch the ball with each possession, even if it's as a passer. Backdoor pass to Jones, kicks it to the corner, and they're trying to swing it around. Buckingham with 5 seconds left. He gets it to go.
An old Princeton set.
And Dowdy is going to be called for a traveling violation, and that will end the first half.
This is a classic Princeton set from a coach who played at Princeton. You don't run it all the time. You just run it when you need a bucket. You get the ball to TJ Klein. He fakes the back door. They kick it around to get a 3.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Dana and the gang are in New York. They'll get you updated on all the conference tournament action as we inch closer to tomorrow's selection show. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Let's check in with Allie, who's with Will Wade.
Coach, your defense only allowed 7 made field goals until those last couple of minutes. What allowed them to close the gap?
Well, we forced them to take some long twos. We guarded them well based on the scouting report. Buckingham's gotten loose on us, and they've hit a couple of contested threes. Buck hit one, Klein hit one. So we didn't contest there at the end. So we got to do a better job contesting their threes.
This game has felt intense. It's physical in the post. You're exchanging dunks. How much are you feeling the rivalry in that first half?
Yeah, it's been a good game. 2 good teams. It's a good game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
36-31. VCU is on top. That's the end of the first half. After the break, we'll send you to Dana and the gang in New York with AT&T at the half. You're watching the A10 semifinals as part of Bracket Week presented by Kubota on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
CBS Sports presents AT&T at the half.
Hi there, welcome into AT&T at the half. Dana Jacobson, Gary Parrish, Danny Granger in the middle, Swin Cash on the end there. We're at the midway point of our second A10 semi. As you know, VCU right now with the 5-point lead, but this was a double-digit lead for VCU. Earlier, Richmond able to come back in this one.
And I give Chris Mooney a lot of credit here. TJ Klein, his star, picked up 2 fouls. The second, with 9:35 left in the first half. He pulls him out of the game, as coaches tend to do at the college level, and immediately VCU starts running out on him. It becomes a double-digit game, and then you've got a choice to make. You want to save a third foul for the second half, or you want to be down 15 points when the second half starts? He puts TJ back in, he gets a couple buckets, and now we got a basketball game.
And Gary, the thing for me is VCU went away from what was so successful for them early on in the game. When they beat Richmond in the regular season, they scored 40 points and 44 in the paint. That's where their bread and butter is. You have to get Mo Alley Cox touches, but how you do that is by dribble penetration. They started taking jump shots, turned the basketball over. Richmond had 10 points off their turnovers. Take care of the basketball, get into the paint. That's their sweet spot.
As for who they will face, we saw the A10 semifinal earlier between Davidson and Rhode Island. Remember, Davidson coming off the win over the top seed Dayton. Rhode Island cruising into the championship game. First time they've been in an A10 championship game since 2007, and here is how it happened. First half, Rhode Island with a 3-point lead.
E.C. Matthews, that knee is looking good. There he is, drilling one from beyond the arc. And here, Matthews again off the nice jab, drills another one. Rams are up 13 at that point.
He had a game-high 19. Second half, Rhode Island in control with a 12-point lead.
And then Jared Terrell finds a cutting Hassan Martin, who throws it down. He had a good game as well. And then nice ball movement by the Rams right there. Martin gets it to go and the foul.
Martin with 16.6 rebounds in the Rams' victory.
second week presented by Kubota. Here are the A-10 semifinals. VCU on top of Richmond. Let's take a look at TGI Friday's first half statistics with VCU on top 36-31. VCU shooting 60% from the floor. Just 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. They're not going to be a big-time three-point shooting team, but they have 15 points in the paints. Hello, Doug Gottlieb. I'm Tom McCarthy. We'll hear from Allie LaForce in just a little bit. All right, your thoughts for the first half?
I thought they did a great job. VCU did one, eliminating the looks of TJ Klein. Part of it, he hurt himself by getting into foul trouble, and then playing to their strength. Jonathan Williams, we saw the bench points. He comes in off the bench, hits all 3 buckets. They're all layups, driving to the basket. And that really becomes the difference in the game, in that they're getting some off the bench and they're limiting the looks of the best player in the league MVP, TJ Klein.
All right, with that, let's take a look at our steal, cut above the rest, and we'll look at Mo Alley-Cox. You know he's a force inside. They've dominated the paint, and he's had his number so far.
He's a force of nature. Forget about inside. And yes, he hit a couple of nice little turnaround buckets, also rebounded the basketball well, and a ferocious dunk as part of their run. This at one point, became an 11-point lead by VCU, but Richmond did seem to kind of bow up at the end. 2 good possessions, and they're back in this game.
Allie, what did Chris Mooney have to say at halftime?
Coach Mooney made sure his team knew he was really proud of the heart that they showed to make that comeback, and he challenged them to show the same heart in the second half. Obviously, having Klein in foul trouble was not ideal, so he said he just told them to try to be as straight up as possible. But it's a huge challenge for what to tell this team, because VCU has the size advantage. His team needs to be as physical as possible, so he wants to try to tell them to play fundamentally and play careful, but doesn't want them to take away any of that physicality.
Yeah, VCU defeated Richmond twice during the regular season, and they also defeated Princeton. Now, Princeton's not the same caliber of team as Richmond, but they run a lot of the same stuff. So VCU with the basketball to begin the second half. The winner of this one goes on to face Rhode Island in the championship game tomorrow afternoon on CBS at 12:30. Jaquan Lewis covered by 4, puts it on the floor, goes to the basket, it rolls in and out, and the rebound is tipped out by Richmond. 4 is so fast. Here's Buckingham, and his shot is no good, and the rebound by Mo Alley-Cox, and Chris Mooney is wondering, where was the foul? Jaquan Lewis again, trying to pepper the paint.
I'm not sure there was a foul. I mean, part of it was both officials, and Tony Chiazza was the lead official. He wasn't there to maybe be in proper position. But part of it was Richmond was lackadaisical, could have had an easy 2-on-1 to get a wide open dunk. There's 4 with another rebound.
Yeah, back-to-back rebounds by 4. Richmond is led by Buckingham, who has 15 points in the first half, 15-31. He scored the first 8 points for Richmond. TJ Klein motioning this offense, giving it back off to 4. Klein covered out front by Mo Alley-Cox, puts it on the floor, double team for a moment. Shot clock down to 5. 4 with the spin move and draws the contact, and he'll go to the free throw line.
All right, let's see if this is a foul or not a foul. Buckingham drives, and that looks pretty clean. Looks pretty clean. And then Buckingham, who's had a very good first half statistically on offense, he gets his shot blocked. Dude, you got to get up and run back on defense.
Absolutely. You got to brush off that frustration. Here's 4 to the free throw line, 62%. That should increase as his career moves on. He misses that one. Burgess looking in at Mo Alley-Cox, backing in, leaves it for Burgess. Burgess tries to lay it in, no good, and the rebound is saved along the baseline by Jones.
And Richmond continuing this game plan of what's called Xing out. If you drive in, we'll switch off. They're trying to make VCU make jump shots.
Klein now working against Tillman. And a whistle blows and a kick.
Yeah,
and
Jones,
foul is called.
Jones missed him. You don't necessarily have as big an advantage when he's posting up against Mo Alley-Cox, but when it's Tillman or really anyone else from VCU, that's when TJ Klein needs to get the ball. Recognize those switches and alert yourself to getting the ball to 10 in the blue jersey.
Jenkins checks in for VCU. Burgess checks out. And the inbound goes to Klein with 15 on the shot clock for Richmond. Andre Jones averaging 17 points per game. Working the backcourt. Here's Sherrod, who has the ball knocked out of bounds with 5 on the shot clock. Jones, by the way, had just 3 points in that first half. If you're wondering about scoring droughts for Richmond. And now Richmond has 5 on the shot clock to work this inbound.
And he had 30 in their first meeting, 20 in their second meeting.
Yeah, he was going off against VCU. He'll get a 3 here, and it's good! Oh, we mentioned he was going through a little bit of a drought. Now he makes it a 1-point game. Jaquan Lewis kicked into the hands of Jenkins. Jenkins 3 does not go down, but VCU gets the rebound. Here's Brooks, thought about the 3 inside for Mo Alley-Cox, and he's fouled on the floor.
TJ Klein, that's on him. He has to be smarter. Here's the 3 from Jones, who just rotates up, part of the play, but TJ Klein reaching in on Mo Alley-Cox going into his move.
Boy, Jones certainly got his feet set on that 3-pointer. So fresh 30 for VCU. Klein checks out, Brooks to the basket, and he's fouled, so he'll go to the free throw line. Well, this is a huge move for Richmond. Now, how long does he sit? He doesn't have to sit all that long with 3 fouls, but they've got to pepper this clock just a little bit.
I wouldn't sit him.
You let him keep playing?
You got 2 more. The team is playing well. Don't hurt your momentum. But TJ, you have to be smarter. Those are 2 silly fouls.
Brooks makes the first free throw.
In your mind, now you have 2. You have to know, listen, I cannot reach. If you give up a layup, okay. But Richmond can't beat VCU without the league MVP on the floor.
Yeah, his team is down by 3. He's out with 3 personal fouls. Sherrod working the backcourt with 4 off the screen. And a 3-pointer is good. Splash down for the Richmond Spiders. It's Buckingham. He has 18 points. And Jaquan Lewis with the answer and the foul.
Well, here's Richmond picking, rolling, and watch Tillman. Tillman not paying attention, no rotation, and Buckingham steps into a 3, and then Jaquan Lewis. That's called twisting a ball screen, Tom. You know what twisting a ball screen is?
I've just learned it.
Okay, twisting, it's when you use a ball screen and you go back the same way you were coming, okay?
Well, and Jaquan Lewis did it perfectly.
It's twisting a ball screen.
Twisting a ball screen.
Yeah.
I have to write this stuff
there's
down.
There's twisting and there's snaky is when you go over the ball screen, you go back the way you came underneath it. Twisting is when you go over and then you go back. And the screener should twist.
That was the wrong twist right there by Buckingham. He twisted down to the floor, and VCU forces the turnover. Jaquan Lewis for 3, and it's no good. Burgess with the offensive rebound, and a traveling violation. All right, so twisting the ball screen.
Twisting a ball screen. Okay, so you make a move to go over. You go one way, great angle from over the top. You come over, and then you go back. You twist, and the screener twists because the second defender, the big guy, is guessing you're going over the screen. Twisting a ball screen.
I like that. And I like that camera shot, too, on that.
Amazing. Great work. We don't actually have somebody up there, do we?
Very small person. Sherrod against Jenkins, and he's fouled. And we'll see where Sherrod goes. He'll go to the free throw line for 2. Second foul on VCU. Sherrod, another freshman from Richmond, Virginia, 81% from the line. Makes the first. Tomorrow at 5 Eastern, the toughest sport on dirt takes the stage in the Razorback State with a PBR Built Ford Tough Series Little Rock Invitational, only in the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
You can see Chris Mooney pacing up and down the sidelines. When do I go back? He takes Sherrod out because even though VCU didn't get the offensive rebound, he knows they're going to crash that offensive glass without TJ Klein inside.
So he puts in the big body of Ibaka.
But that hurts them offensively.
Right.
They're better rebounding, not as good offensively.
So a guy like Julius Johnson may have to get his hand in a little bit more. He's on the weak side, number 32.
Everybody has to you have to rebound with 5 guys. VCU will fight you for every loose ball.
Here's Brooks, tried to bank it home.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep, Mo Alley-Cox with the rebound, comes up short, the rebound by 4. Outlet pass to Jones. Jones peeking a little bit. He has 5 points, just 2 in the first half, 3 here in the second half. Jones, a little hesitation, a little shoulder fake. Pull-up three-pointer is no good. Jenkins with the rebound. Jenkins coming back with that after the surgery on his foot. Big-time impact yesterday for VCU. Burgess, entry pass to Mo Alley-Cox. He was calling for it the entire time. Forces his way to the basket. It bounces around and then comes out. Jones with the rebound and a foul called against VCU.
Still great effort from VCU, even going after that loose ball. The emotion of bitter rivals. The Capital City Classic. VCU's won the last 5. But if Richmond wins, they could dance.
There's Danny Hurley. He's awaiting the winner of this ball game. He'll take them on tomorrow at 12:30 in the championship. Let's revisit our DiGiorno keys to the game.
Well, so far, Richmond, for the most part, has handled the pressure of VCU. They have to rebound, and they've done a decent job of it. VCU is really pressured Klein, and they haven't been able to get the scoring up. They haven't been able to get easy layups, but they have scored in kind of in secondary offense from Jaquan Lewis. So kind of going according to plan, with the exception of TJ Klein, who is the player of the year in the conference, being in foul trouble. Missed 6 minutes in the first half and has sat since picking up his third foul about 2 minutes ago.
Well, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. I mean, when would you put him in? I know you probably wouldn't have taken him out, but when would you put him back in?
Well, you just went through the first TV timeout. I guess now if you're committed to it, you wait till under 12. And then you play him the rest of the way, hoping he doesn't foul.
Richmond looking to take the lead, down by 1.
The other thing is you just have to coach with feel.
Here's Chandre Jones, and he gives the Spiders the lead by 1.
Like if you can keep it together offensively, you don't mess with a winning streak, you don't mess with momentum. And right now, Richmond has decent momentum.
That's 8 points for Jones. He had 2 in the first half, 6 here in the second half. Burgess from the free throw line, shooting with confidence.
You mentioned the shooting with confidence. Burgess saw they were in a 2-3 zone, flash to the high post, and he didn't even think about it. That's usually a passing spot he wasn't even thinking about.
Yeah, Mo Alley-Cox on the bench taking a breather. So is Tillman. So the big men are Hamdi Mohammed and Burgess.
Yeah, now if you're Richmond, you can go back to man-to-man with Mo Alley-Cox out of the game.
Sherrod steps into the arc. Jumper is off the side of the rim. And Samir Dowdy pulls down the rebound. Philadelphia's own.
They're still going to sit in that 2-3 zone.
Well, they go right back to Burgess, and a jump ball is called, and the possession arrow belongs to Richmond.
Great play from Julius Johnson. Burgess went into his game, and this is why that's a passing position. You get the high post, you want to shoot it right away, fine. Burgess goes into his game. One dribble starts spinning. Johnson sees it, smacks down, both hands on it. It's a good call.
Yeah, he kept it down below his waist, so it gave Julius Johnson the chance to get it away. Will Wade a little frustrated with that offensive set.
Well, he thought that was a foul.
Yeah.
And I mean, and here comes TJ Klein back in the game.
With Richmond down by 1, he's playing with 3 fouls with 14:05 to play.
I like coaching with feel. And Chris Mooney is a very good player. I tend to think guys that play a little bit more have a little bit better feel.
Klein sets the screen for Johnson, covered by Mo Alley-Cox. This is what Richmond does. They spread it out. Shot clock under 10. 4, bounce pass to Buckingham. And a foul called on the trailer defensively.
So it's a modified Princeton, meaning there's still the principles at times of what Princeton does. And the one principle you need to understand is if somebody dribbles at your man, he's going back door. And you have to make him cut through your body.
Chris Moody played for Pete Carrill, and the tree from Pete Carrill is all around college basketball.
But Pete Carrill told his guys when he went to the NBA and was with the Sacramento Kings, fellas, the Princeton offense isn't dead, but it shouldn't be your primary offense.
And there's another 3 by Jones. 45-43, a 2-point lead for the Spiders.
Well, we mentioned how explosive he is offensively. Now he's got 3 field goals in the second half.
Yeah, he came in. He's had 1,500 points during his career. As Dowdy coming for the pass from the elbow, is able to tie this up at 45. And this is not new territory for Richmond. 21 lead changes yesterday in the quarterfinal game.
Yep.
Klein, a little ball fake. Covered by Mo Alley-Cox, 15 on the shot clock. He wants to shoot this basketball, and he does with a tough shot, and Chris Moody can't believe there's no foul. Here comes Jaquan Lewis, leaves it for Jenkins. Jenkins' pass back up top is cut off, And now Jones running with 4, and Ford lays it in.
Man, Kawan Ford, watching him play in transition is fun, but it's all triggered by TJ Klein, a tremendous.
He knows how fast his teammate is. Jonathan Williams, and the rebound is tipped out. Here comes 4, and it's left at midcourt, and he'll just set it up. Now Buckingham. A little too fancy for Richmond, but the result is a foul, and Buckingham's going to the free throw line.
So TJ Klein hasn't done much on offense, but instead of pouting because he thought he got fouled, he sprints back, and he's able to corral this ball after Julius Johnson deflects it, and that allows Richmond to get out in transition. Chandre Jones finds Kawan 4, and Kawan 4, an absolute freak. You know, 4 missed his first year with a foot injury.
Right.
Red shirt.
Buckingham makes the first. So here are some of the trends for this ball game. There have been 4 lead changes, 3 ties, and the largest lead for VCU, you talked about it before, was 11.
Here's an important thing to watch. If you're a fan of a bubble team, you should be rooting for VCU. VCU is going to the tournament. Dayton is going to the tournament. If they're beaten, even if Rhode Island, you think they're in, they're not in, it doesn't matter. Whoever wins tomorrow is going to the tournament, regardless.
TJ Klein goes back to the bench for Richmond. Richmond leads it by 4. Jaquan Lewis, entry pass to Hamdi Mohammed. And he doesn't get it to go down, and the rebound is pulled down by Johnson. A lot of times when it goes into Hamdi, it's not coming back out.
Nope.
Under 12 minutes to play. Richmond lost the 2 regular season games to VCU as Buckingham falls to the floor. And a timeout is called by Jones away from the basketball. 11:51 to play. Who's going to face Rhode Island in tomorrow's championship? Come on back and find out. Bracket Week presented by Kubota continues with the Conference USA Championship. Marshall versus Middle Tennessee. Who will get the automatic bid? Find out tonight at 8:30 Eastern, only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
I mean, there's another important game. Middle Tennessee belongs in this NCAA tournament. Of course, they beat Michigan State in the first round last year.
Yep.
Marshall wins. Dan D'Antoni, the head coach, they're going.
Well, 15 beat 2 last year with Middle Tennessee. The first time it happened, it was Richmond who defeated Syracuse. How about that? That was back in 1991 in College Park. And our very own Vern Lundquist was on the call. Look how young Jim Boeheim looks there. That's the first time a 15 beat 2. And there's Vern on the left to Jim Spinarco on the right. They will join Ali LaForce tomorrow for the A-10 championship.
People forget how good Richmond was back when Dick Tarrant was the head coach of the Spiders. You're talking about a guy who went through his last 10 seasons. They won 20 games or more. Back when 20 games meant something, 9 times.
49-45. Richmond is on top, and now the turnover forced by the VCU defense. VCU needs a bucket. They've missed 6 of the last 8 shots they've taken from the floor. Williams wants a screen. Doug Brooks inside to Hamdi. Hamdi to the basket. Doesn't get the right angle. And Sherrod with the rebound.
Got to make that.
He was shocked that he was that open. He should have started a little earlier.
Or he should have passed it to Jonathan Williams, who was cutting. But you have to, at point-blank range, you have to make that.
The motion offense by the Spiders. This is where Klein is so effective. Now he's going to go into the paint knowing that Hamdi's on him. And he missed the shot, and he may have been bumped out of the paint. Here's Hamdi. Boom! A one-handed jam. And it's back to a 2-point game. I know they have to manage his minutes, but he had very effective minutes in the first half, and right there, running the floor. Jones looking for the screen set by Klein. Pull-up jumper is short.
That's a mistake. Go back to TJ Klein. The officials will give you the call the next time because they missed it.
Jonathan Williams leaves it for Hamdi, and Hamdi back-to-back buckets. Tied up at 49. This time of year, I mean, you need bench play. You don't go that deep, but you need bench play. 7 points and a boatload of rebounds for Hamdi. Sherrod against Dowdy. A little bigger, and he was able to get the bucket to go down easily.
In front of your own bench, you can run all the sets you want because your head coach can call it and make sure everybody's in position.
Can also whisper in the ear of the official, with his third straight bucket.
TJ Klein a little bit tired, plus he has 3 personal fouls, and everybody at Richmond thinking it's the normal TJ Klein where I don't have to help him rebound. There you go.
Whistle blows and the foul called on Hamdi. Well, it's been a flow of Hamdi Mohammed for the VCU Rams.
Well, he struggled early on, missing a couple bunnies, but Jonathan Williams finds him and he throws it down. Next time, in transition again, another bucket. And the Rams, both defensively and offensively, they just keep coming. Tie ball game in Pittsburgh.
Tied up at 51, the Atlantic 10 semifinal. The winner of this one will face Rhode Island tomorrow at 12:30. It's time now for us to take a look at our Werner Ladder dunk of the game, and we just saw it a few moments ago.
Yeah, we're not giving it to, I thought it was Quan 4. I did not know I was usurped by the Trump.
We decided that there's some better angles on this one, and it is a pretty sweet angle. Well, Hamdi's able to slam it home there. He's had 3 consecutive buckets for VCU.
Huge minutes for the Rams forward. As now we kind of get to the stretch run, we'll see how much they use their bench.
So VCU will sub. They take Hamdi out. We'll take a look at the trends from today's game. 4 lead changes, 5 ties. Largest lead was 11 for VCU and 4 for Richmond. And look at that, Sherrod wide open. How does that happen where he's that far open?
I'll show you the next time we get a replay, but forget, Jones hit a 3 on the exact same play.
So they were
worried about Jones that time.
Sherrod, whose grandfather played for VCU, is a Hall of Famer at VCU. Also was a women's coach for a couple of years. Jaquan Lewis trying to make a 3 to answer it, and 4 with the rebound. Richmond has scored 14 points off turnovers from VCU today. Mo Cox with the near steal with TJ Klein coming after the basketball. Jones now covered by Mo Cox.
Ball needs to go inside.
I was going to say they got to find him.
Mismatch, but Chandre Jones can't see him.
And Sherrod will go to the basket against Tillman, and they're going to call a foul on Tillman.
All right, so you asked how they end up getting a layup. All right, fellas, keep an eye right here on Jaquan Lewis. All right, so Jones is going to rotate up. And as the ball, as you smack the ball, they obviously thought, Jaquan Lewis is yelling at his man inside. They're pointing at each other, but they were concerned about Chandre Jones, who came up for the open 3.
Yeah, they left Sherrod wide open, and now his free throw makes it a 3-point game, 54-51. TJ Klein back to the bench. They try to manage his minutes. They're going to have to unleash him soon with 3 fouls. And Sherrod makes both.
Doug Brooks was looking at Jaquan Lewis, and Jaquan Lewis is looking at Doug Brooks. Meanwhile, no one was looking at Nick Sherrod.
Jonathan Williams blocked away. Ibaka came flying in and knocked it away. It'll remain VCU basketball.
Kwesi Ibaka making his presence known. And Jonathan Williams this is all he does. He comes in, probes, and then looks to drive and score because you don't want to help. You want to make him score. And Ibaka waited till he left his feet and then blocked the shot into the 3rd row.
Graduate student from Northeastern. Hasn't played as many minutes as I think he anticipated, but he certainly has been a help. Doug Brooks rolls that one off the rim. Sherrod's been pretty active these last few minutes, gets the board.
So now as you get into under 8 minutes, you have to make sure you know where you're going with the basketball. You can't pass on the move because your body's still moving. And then everyone on the team needs a rebound.
Buckingham has it stripped away. Now it used to be in the basic Princeton offense, 8 minutes and 14 seconds as Klein checks back in. You can, in the Princeton offense, that's down to like 4 minutes the way they used to run it. Could they do it here for Richmond?
No, because it's a 30-second shot clock.
Very true.
Additionally, they don't really run true Princeton. They just run it for sets when they want to determine where a backdoor and where a jump shot comes from.
Buckingham doesn't get the 3 to go down. The putback is off the mark, and Tillman wins the battle underneath.
Man, Sherrod got so fortunate to catch the ball in the air, but then just misses the layup.
Here comes Williams probing, leaves it for Jaquan Lewis from the baseline. His 10-footer is no good, and the foul is called on Doug Brooks as he knocks 4 to the ground. 7:56 to play. VCU, the 2 seed, trails Richmond, the 3 seed, by 4. Bracket week presented by Kubota, and here in the second of the A10 semifinals, Richmond has a 4-point lead. Bracket week presented by Kubota continues with the CUSA Women's Championship next. Southern Miss taking on Western Kentucky. Find out who will get the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Richmond leads it 55-51, and 4 goes to the free throw line. He has 7 points. This is the front end of the 1-on-1. 1 of 2 from the line. And he rattles it home. Allie, have you listened in to see what Will Wade had to say in the last time out?
Yes, and let's just say his game plan of attack has not changed. He said, we're shooting jump shots. We're settling for pull-up jump shots. He said, enough of that. Start attacking the basket. Let's play 8 minutes our way. Will's just 34 years old, but man, he knows how to run a program. Obviously started out as a GA at Clemson, where he went to school.
Well, he'll like that right there.
Yeah. Put your nose down, get it bloodied, and get inside.
Yeah, he's working the sidelines right now, and it looked like he just said, that's what I'm talking about. As Dowdy found some room.
Nice job on the inside by Justin Tillman to kind of create space. Part of this again is TJ Klein out of the game for 1 defensive possession. VCU smartly met, not that he's a great defender, but position-wise, he knows how to at least stand in the way.
Dowdy makes it a 3-point game, 57-54. And 4 stumbles to the ground and asks for a timeout. We'll take a 30-second break and be back with Richmond on top by 3. Well, Doug, I'm going to give you a chance to wax poetic about Richmond, what Richmond has done here in the second half.
First they got Chandra Jones going, hitting a couple of jump shots. We've seen DeMonte Buckingham score, and then they've gotten out in transition as VCU crashing the glass with 4, sometimes even 5 guys, and they've made VCU pay as they're light in the back end.
So Richmond has the 3-point lead. They've outscored VCU 26-18 in the second half.
You have to be strong with the basketball. VCU can absorb some fouls, and they are going to keep competing anytime the ball's on the floor.
Now, that's not a smart pass by Buckingham.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if TJ Klein was supposed to do something else. Dowdy open for 3. Splash down! Tied at 57 as 4 brings it up for Richmond. Klein with the fake and then the jumper and the answer. Wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. Mom liked it.
That takes some lower intestinal fortitude to take that shot.
60-57. Klein has 10 points. He's been troubled with fouls. He only had 8 yesterday, but he had 8 assists. Dowdy to Brooks. Brooks peeks up at the shot clock. Little jab step will stop it, trying to launch the 3. Tillman with the rebound. Putback is good.
Well, VCU scores on a bad pass from DeMonte Buckingham. And then back would come Richmond as the player of the year pump fakes and just drills a 3 with a defender coming at him. But here's the problem. No box out from TJ Klein. VCU's best offense has either been driving in or just throw it up and then be a man and try and go get it.
Well, this rivalry, which has been dominated by VCU, is going to come down to the wire. The winner will face Rhode Island in the Atlantic 10 Championship tomorrow at 12:30 on CBS. Jones covered by Brooks. He's the best defender for VCU, but Jones is one of the best scorers for Richmond. Well, he looked like he got bumped. The ball was knocked away. Mo Allen Cox will pick it up.
Well, VCU, though, playing without their hands, and that's why there's no foul call. The ball needs to go to TJ Klein.
Dowdy, quick burst along the baseline off the glass. It is no good. Tillman with his own rebound. His own teammate nearly took it away. He forces the action and he's fouled. That's TJ Klein's 4th foul.
Justin Tillman wasn't even going to be able to get this shot up. But the difference is, watch Justin Tillman's activity on the boards. Richmond has to rebound with 5 guys, and they're not. They're standing around and watching and hoping that 1 or 2 guys goes and does it. Look at Buckingham. He's just standing there and watching. He needs to get in there and get on the floor. Instead, TJ Klein gets called for the 4th foul.
So 4 fouls for Klein. Tillman's free throw, his first one is no good. So Klein will check out. Julius Johnson checks back in.
Klein will probably just be out till the under 4 timeout if they can keep it together.
Yeah, because they got to roll it from there.
But that's why you have to get him every offensive touch you can.
Tillman makes the second one. VCU takes the lead, 61-60.
Now the good thing is this is a very small lineup. Buckingham and Sherrod are your biggest players. Everybody can shoot. There's no one really for Mo Alley-Cox to guard on the inside.
Yeah, Mo Alley-Cox has to come out to guard Johnson in this motion offense.
You got to engage Mo Alley-Cox in a ball screen or get the ball moving. If the ball sticks, he can hide defensively.
4 covered by Tillman. Tillman partially blocks it and saved on the baseline by Dowdy. And again, Chris Mooney is wondering where the foul was.
Yep, there was no foul. Pass the ball. There's 2 defenders on you. Somebody's open. Pass the ball.
And it was a little bit out of control, too, offensively. Here's Mo Alley-Cox. 2-handed jam. Ten points for Mo Alley-Cox. VCU's lead is 3. Their largest lead was 11. Jones harassed by Doug Brooks. Buckingham for 3. And it's no good. Dowdy with the rebound. And now VCU with a 3-point lead can kind of control some things offensively. Will Wade pounds home, get the ball in the paint, and that's been the case as they've gone on this run, and they do it there. And Mo Alley-Cox double team. Brooks open for 3, and it's no good. And Tillman is fouled on the floor, trying to box out.
See, here's the problem. Mo Alley-Cox on the previous possession, with it, they run an isolation for him and take away the weak side help. And Sherrod, there's nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. There's no help there. But the problem is Julius Johnson just got called for a foul for boxing out.
That's what he was telling the officials, too.
Right, and I'm okay with VCU's allowed to be super physical in the offensive glass. That's fine. But defensively, I have to be allowed to box you out. Otherwise, you're creating a complete advantage for VCU.
TJ Klein is back in. Tillman with 10 rebounds and 6 points, make it 7 as he converts the front end of the 1-on-1.
If they lose this game, it's not just because of TJ Klein. I feel like they're getting beat on the boards. And I would even consider, if you can stabilize things, going back to Ibaka along with Klein, just so you can rebound.
Tillman misses the second free throw.
TJ Klein has to touch the ball in this possession in the scoring zone.
VCU is out-rebounded Richmond by 12. Buckingham in the paint. Shot just didn't fall. He faded away with Williams defending, and Tillman with his 11th rebound. Still plenty of time, but if you're Richmond, you can't let it get away too much. Williams off the screen by Mo Alley-Cox into the paint, tried to leave it for Mo Alley-Cox, and TJ Klein is able to defend it. Here comes Sherrod off the glass, and it's good.
If you're Richmond, you might want to think about going back to that zone that was effective for them for a good stretch in the second half. I want to wait until after the timeout to do so. Klein, remember, with 4 personal fouls.
Got to be careful inside. Brooks, bad angle again. Klein with the rebound. Looking up for Buckingham. Buckingham getting out front and lays it in.
What a play from TJ Klein. On the move, grabs the rebound, spins, makes the pass just in time. And we have a new ball game yet again.
Tied at 64, 3 minutes to play. Will Wade will use a timeout. How about these last 2 baskets for Richmond?
You insert TJ Klein, suddenly he stabilizes you defensively and he triggers you offensively. He puts a hand up, gets a deflection, throws the ball to Sherrod. Sherrod does the rest. The next possession, again, TJ Klein grabbing the loose ball, spinning, throwing the ball up to Buckingham. Tie game.
A battle to see who plays Rhode Island in the A-10 championship. We're still tied at 64 with 2:59 to play. Let's see who's best. Brought to you by Best Western. And it's the A-10 Rookie of the Year, DeMonte Buckingham, with 22 points for Richmond.
You know, he was limited in high school. He had a knee injury, wore a big bulky brace. One of the reasons that some of the ACC schools backed off a little bit, stayed in his hometown of Richmond. What a season he's had. The Rookie of the Year in a hard-fought, physical game against their arch rival has stepped up and given them points.
All right, look at the game trends. We've had 5 lead 5. VCU's largest lead is 11. By the way, it's the first time against VCU. That was a huge problem early on this year. They tightened that up by going more defensive with their lineup.
They're trying to isolate into the low post for Mo Ali Cox.
Instead, it's Dowdy who drives right to the hoop.
And as many as Buckingham gets, he's given up at times defensively. He has to understand, got to contain the basketball. TJ Klein can't foul on the inside.
Dowdy has 13 points. Dowdy had a big day yesterday. And the answer is there as the ball rattles home, as Buckingham is able to get that bucket to go.
Great recognition there as they run an ISO for him, and Jonathan Williams gets caught fronting in the low post.
That's 24 points now for Buckingham on 8 of 12 from the floor, 66 all. Dowdy against Buckingham again. He cut him off this time.
Much better.
Dowdy down low to Tillman. Double team with Klein. He tried to force it to Mo Ali Cox. And now the steal by Dowdy off the glass. No good. The ball is deflected toward the VCU bench and then off the body of Jaquan Lewis.
Nice play from Buckingham.
Huge play.
Quan Four with a terrible cross-court pass after making a really nice steal. But credit to Monte Buckingham, the freshman. He just secured the offensive rebound, but he was going into the seats. Watch, 4 steps in, that's called a seal. You have to seal down, gets his hand in there, and what's he doing? Cross-court pass against VCU. Fortunate for the miss, and Buckingham throws it right off the chest to Jaquan Lewis.
Richmond trying to get to the championship game. They last won the Atlantic 10 championship in 2011, and a foul called underneath against VCU.
At first you don't succeed, try and try again. Richmond keeps driving in. VCU honestly is doing a pretty good job of not fouling, though contesting these shots. But you keep going to the heart of the defense, they will call fouls. This is an absolute war.
He's 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Make it 4 of 5, he has 10. So this is what's at stake. If Richmond or VCU, whoever wins, will take on Rhode Island, the 4th seed, tomorrow at 12:30.
What's really at stake is a bubble spot will burst.
Absolutely.
Because Richmond or Rhode Island will dance because VCU is going no matter what.
VCU and Dayton. Dayton, the number 1 seed, is going, as we've talked about it before. Both teams have shot the free throws well today. Mo Ali Cox, good catch underneath. Feeds it to Jonathan Williams. Back out to Dowdy. Williams does not generally take threes, so that's why he's trying to direct traffic now. In the paint, it's crowded. Stops along the baseline, and TJ Klein picks up the block. Williams leaned into him as he let that shot go. It's a 2-point lead for the Spiders.
It's the right call and a smart play, but also you're very fortunate he's the conference player of the year.
Richmond, by the way, has 1 timeout left. VCU has 2. Chris Moody's letting them play. Jones going to the basket. Blocked by Tillman. And here comes Jaquan Lewis going right at Klein. Off the glass. It's good. Klein had to back off.
Chandre Jones is doing a great job of turning the corner. Mo Ali Cox can't contain him on these ball screens, but he's taken off too far out. Be interesting to see if they now use Quan Four, who's a freak athlete who can just finish up over the rim.
Four with the ball in his hands, gets it back to Jones. Buckingham wants it down low, skips it to the right sideline for Sherrod. He's got it! And a timeout called by Richmond.
How about the freshman, DeMonte Buckingham, unselfishly finding his teammate, and the Spiders up 3.
71-68, Richmond is on top. How about the three-pointer that was just canned by the Spiders?
Well, they've run this ISO in the low post most of the game, and VCU standing around in help, daring you to throw the ball cross court. DeMonte Buckingham, the freshman, the leading scorer in the game, finds Nick Sherrod, who cans the open 3. And every bubble team should have a case of anachrophobia.
Oh, man. Well, the Richmond Spiders lead it by 3, 71-68.
Are you scared of spiders?
No, I'm not scared of spiders. I was wondering how I can meander that back into a line. but I just couldn't come up with anything.
Just disappointed in you.
I know. I feel bad about it. Well, how about for VCU? Do they have time now to get a 2 if they need to? 36.3 to play.
I mean, listen, the great thing about VCU is you want to get a quick 2 and then press. That's what they do anyway. And then they might not even have to foul because it might organically happen by itself. The most important thing, though, is a quick 2. Now, if you're Richmond, do you go to your zone because VCU has set up a man-to-man play? They're looking like they're man, but that doesn't mean you can't drop back into a zone as Will Wade set up a play. Now, they're man.
Yeah, let's see what they do. They are in man-to-man defense.
Williams is only going to drive. He is not going to shoot jump shots.
Jaquan Lewis can shoot the jump shots. Touchdown! We're tied at 71. A high arcing 3.
In these situations, Richmond likes to spread you out, get the ball to TJ Klein, and run backdoor sets.
18 seconds left to play. No timeouts for Richmond. Game clock down to 7. Jones just waiting. Off the high screen, little hesitation. Game clock at 1. Fadeaway jumper is no good. We're going to overtime. Jaquan Lewis hit some money shots for VCU this year.
Let me tell you why it's open, though. We told you Jonathan Williams is a non-shooter. So you go under screens, you help off, but that's on Chandre Jones. He has to get up on that handoff and get right, and really he should switch. A nice little action where Justin Tillman picks him off, but he's got to recover.
Well, we're not done. Overtime here in Pittsburgh, tied at 71. We'll be right back. Today's overtime is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. The second of our 2 A-10 semifinal games has now gone into overtime. This is the last chance for Richmond. They didn't really get anything flowing here with the clock winding down.
Well, they ran a high ball screen, and this is where Mo Alley-Cox shows his incredible athleticism. Being able to contain a talented scoring guard like Chandre Jones laterally. That's what makes VCU special. If your big man can switch and contain the basketball, you got something special. And Mo Alley-Cox, known as an enforcer, I mean, just looks like a bodybuilder, is more than just a big weapon underneath the basket. He's a weapon defensively on the perimeter.
So they'll jump center to start this overtime. Lamar Simpson will bring the ball to center court. It's Buckingham that will jump against Mo Alley-Cox. As we start the overtime, VCU with the basketball. TJ Klein playing with 4 personal fouls.
It's an important point because he hasn't been able to play in long stretches without fouling.
Mo Alley-Cox trying to force the action, gets his own rebound. His putback is good. It seemed like it took a lifetime, but it is good.
And TJ Klein getting no help. They run a little diagonal screen from Mo Alley-Cox, and Juan Ford did not help him at all.
Buckingham, who has a career high 24 points, will try for 27, and Tillman with the rebound. He had Mo Alley-Cox out there. A little bigger body, a little longer arm.
You have to drive him. You got to try and make him move laterally.
VCU trying to get to the Atlantic 10 championship game. So is Richmond, the winner taking on Rhode Island. The bobble by Mo Alley-Cox.
Klein hit it.
Jaquan Lewis up top for Jonathan Williams. Back to Jaquan. Along the baseline, loses control. Dowdy has it. Right place, right time. And 4 try to go right to the rim. Whistle blows and a foul called against Mo Alley-Cox.
I think he's got to go back to Ibaka inside because the only guy trying to rebound is TJ Klein. Even Klein's kind of leaking out. As VCU, they're just scoring everything inside 5 feet from the basket.
Chris Moody has been given 1 more timeout in this overtime. VCU has 3 timeouts. His 4 goes to the line, where he's 5 of 6 this afternoon.
Everybody worries about their pressure. They are winning this game on the boards.
First one no good. For those of you tuning in for the CUSA Women's Championship game, you will be able to find that online at cbssports.com/live as soon as it tips off. And of course, we'll get you out there immediately after the conclusion of this one.
Now Chris Mooney does go back to Ibaka, but he takes TJ Klein out. What I'm suggesting is,
Keep
I know you're not. Yeah, both bigs.
Yeah.
You got to rebound. You're getting beat on the boards. You're not getting beat by jump shots.
Wow, 4 misses both free throws. 62% on the year. Richmond had been 15 of 16 before these last 2 misses. Ron Lewis bobbling the basketball as he falls to the floor and calls for a timeout. 12 on the shot clock for VCU and a 4-point lead when we return to Pittsburgh. Time for our game reset brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. You see the score in overtime. VCU leads it by 4. 9 team fouls for VCU, 7 for Richmond, and Chris Mooney has 1 timeout left. The winner of this one will go on to face Rhode Island tomorrow at 12:30 on CBS. The number 1 seed Dayton lost to Davidson in the quarters. Davidson then lost to Rhode Island earlier today.
And Rhode Island played about as well today as you can play. I mean, they shot 80% in the first half. And they are ready for VCU or Richmond. They beat VCU in their only meeting earlier this year.
There's TJ Klein, who's on the bench. What do you got, Al?
He just kept emphasizing to his team, be tough and fight, be tough and fight. He said offensively, run through our sets, but don't forget to get out in transition. It's where we've had some of our best plays.
Well, VCU will inbound here with 12 on the shot clock. They get it to Tillman, and Tillman wide open with a smaller man. It's a 6-point lead.
Well, Jaquan Lewis is going to get the attention because he hit the 3, but everything else they've scored in the last 10 minutes of the game has been within 5 feet of the basket.
77-71. They're dominating the points in the paint. Now a double dribble called on 4. And Chris Mooney knew it before Lamar Simpson called it. And here comes TJ Klein. Ibaka checks out.
I would go back to that zone look. The 2-3 zone was effective. And I know that Chris Mooney doesn't necessarily want to play the zone, but VCU's offense against it was, and it's hard to rebound out of a zone.
See the turnovers for Richmond. They've turned it over 10 times. They stay man-to-man. Williams covered by Jones. Dowdy covered by Buckingham up top. TJ Klein with 4 fouls has Mo Alley Cox, who's coming up to set the screen.
Well, when they shoot, everybody from Richmond has to hit the glass.
Jaquan Lewis for 3 off the back of the rim, and the battle for the rebound, and it's 4 who comes up with it, and he'll use the last timeout for Richmond.
4 is a remarkable athlete, but that was a jump ball. It was a jump ball.
There was a battle.
Mo Alley Cox had both hands on the ball. They gave the timeout to Richmond, who will remain down 6, trying to fight back in it here in Pittsburgh.
Richmond is without a timeout now. They just had to use it. They're down by 6. This is why they had to use it.
Swan Ford, number 2. Freak athlete. Gets the ball. And that should be a jump ball.
The timeout was called before he landed firmly on the ground. Mo Alley Cox had hands on it as well.
Well, now if you're Richmond, you got to take advantage of getting an extra possession. Whatever your best set play is, run it.
4 gets the ball from Jones, leans it down low to Sherrod. Sherrod heading toward the basket, and it's good.
And they're posting up Jonathan Williams. That's how they got the 3, and that's how they've scored inside as well.
So VCU's lead is 4. We're heading toward the 2-minute mark here in overtime. The winner advances to face Rhode Island tomorrow. Oh, Cox with the screen. Lewis double team for a moment. He'll get it back. Bounce pass to Mo Alley Cox off the glass, and it's good! Count the bucket!
Sherrod is just a second late. Watch Nick Sherrod. He's supposed to be over there and help. He's still moving forward. That's the right call. If Nick Sherrod plants his feet, is where he's supposed to be in defensive rotation, that's a charge, and Richmond gets the ball back. It is that close.
Oh, like Cox told us last week, he said, all I want to do is win. I don't care how I do it, I just want to win. Well, he has 15 points in what could be a big win for VCU. The lead is 7, 2 minutes to play. The clock is not running again. Now it starts. TJ Klein fakes the handoff, cut off by Mo Alley Cox under the basket, reverse layup, no good. Mo Alley Cox with the rebound.
Now if you're Richmond, you want to think about lengthening the game, fouling the bad free throw shooters.
18 fouls for Richmond. As a team, VCU at 73%. You don't want to foul Lewis. Shot clock is at 7, and there's the foul. The CUSA Women's Championship game is underway and now available at CBSSports.com/live. We'll get you out there as soon as this one is over.
I think it was a bit of a freshman mistake by Demonte Buckingham. It was a clean swipe from behind, but they could have called other fouls on the body. Buckingham frustrated not just at the foul call, as he thought it was clean, but the fact that it was under 10 seconds to go on the shot clock.
He has 3 fouls, and Dowdy makes both free throws. Those are huge. VCU 13 of 17. They've outscored Richmond 11-2 in this overtime. No timeouts for Richmond. They're on their own. Buckingham, one-on-one against Mo Alley Cox, falling to the basket. He didn't even leave his feet, and he got that to go in.
Now you want Mo Alley Cox to touch the basketball, and that's who you want to foul.
Burgess is back in.
Don't foul him. Don't foul Dowdy.
Burgess is limited from the free throw line this year. 9 of 23. Under a minute to play in overtime. Lewis slips it to Tillman. Bam! And the VCU fans who have traveled here to Pittsburgh are going crazy as TJ Klein tries the 3. It's no good. 36 seconds to play. And the foul on 4 will send Tillman to the line. And look at Will Wade.
Will Wade challenged his team, challenged their toughness, told them to stop taking jump shots. But Jaquan Lewis's three-point shot sent it to overtime, and watch this beautiful split of a double team. And Jaquan Lewis drops the dime off to Tillman, who's going to send the Rams to the A-10 finals.
He misses the free throw, but it's a 9-point lead with 34.3 to play. Will Wade says, all right, relax a little bit, but I think he's got to take his own medicine.
I love how Tillman shoots the step-in jump shot.
Jack Gibbs.
Yeah.
Here's 4, 30 seconds left, goes to the basket, lays it in. No timeouts.
They don't have any timeouts.
And they've used the timeout, but they have none left. They have no timeouts. Maybe there's something else that Earl Walton thought.
No, he called timeout.
I think he did too.
We're both sitting there watching. Yep. Again, this is where are they being? That's 2 free throws.
Yeah. So Jaquan Lewis will go to the free throw line, and he'll shoot the technical.
Now Richmond had the ball with time winding down in regulation, and were unable to really get a good shot. And then they were just beaten up on the boards and right around the rim in overtime. And Chris Mooney doesn't want the timeout, just shoot the free throws and let's go. It's just a mistake.
Yeah, Jaquan Lewis will go to the free throw line. It seems appropriate. He's 3 for 3 today, 15 points, but he is the leader. He is zeroing in on 1,400 points for his career. He gets 1. There it is. Let's watch it here. Chris Mooney calling the timeout.
And I just watching the right side of your screen. I think this is just gut reaction. Quick timeout. I want a time. I want it clear as day.
We had just mentioned in our game reset that they had none left.
Chris Mooney will take it on himself, and I'm sure it was mentioned, but it is an assistant coach's, somebody's job to say, Coach, we got no timeouts.
28 seconds left, 85-77. And the foul called on Quan Ford.
Now they're chanting, we own Richmond, and for now the last 6 games they will, and this is the 17th time in the last 21 meetings between the crosstown rivals that the VCU Rams will reign supreme, and they'll get a shot at the Rhode Island Rams. Rams locking horns
Locking
tomorrow?
horns. And it's going to be a heck of a matchup as Lewis makes his first free throw.
Incredible culture at VCU. My brother was at Oregon State. They took on VCU in the first round of the NCAA tournament. He's like, those guys, they just beat us. They just manned up and mauled us. And they mauled Richmond on the glass.
Jones' three goes out of bounds. And VCU will inbound and just run the last 13.8 off the clock. Will Wade's jackets on. That means it's over. Jaquan Lewis tells the fans to come to their feet. VCU will advance to the Atlantic 10 championship where they'll take on Rhode Island. It is Rams against Rams. And at least one Richmond team will remain happy here in Pittsburgh. So here are the brackets. Rhode Island, the 4 seed, will take on the 2 seed VCU tomorrow at 12:30. Vern, Jim Spinarco, and Allie will have the call on CBS. Now for Allie, Doug Gottlieb, and our entire crew, I'm Tom McCarthy. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Don't miss the A-10 Championship tomorrow at 12:30. Bracket Week, presented by Kubota, rolls on. After the break, as Southern Miss takes on Western Kentucky in the CUSA Women's Championship.